Petronas Dagangan is the market leader in the petrol station business. They are the market leaders with over 300 stations nationwide. But with ride-hailing services, fierce competition and volatile oil prices eating into their margins, the future does look uncertain for them. In part 1 of this extended interview, Managing Director and Chief Executive Datuk Syed Zainal Abidin kicks off by sharing business conditions and consumer sentiment on the ground and how the company is responding, such as in digital customer touchpoints at the station and in managing their existing partners. Datuk Sri, so good to talk to you again. You're the biggest player in town. You've got over 1,000 stations. I think your Shells of the world are, number 2, but close number 2. So you'll be the first to feel any kind of tremors in the market, any kind of differences. And today the era is really of ride-hailing, more efficient vehicles, smaller engines, less consumption, more efficient energy efficiency, right? So in terms of your management of the business operations on the ground, how is that changing? What's the business sentiment? What's the confidence levels like, if you like?
Well, I think first of all, we need to understand the market condition today in terms of retailing. If you look at the fuel retailing, clearly we can see that the trend are very clear. Number one, we look at the cars itself. Cars are generally getting more efficient, whether introduction of hybrid, energy efficient vehicle. And what does that mean to us in the retail business? Obviously, people are consuming less fuel. So whether we like it or not, there's a general trend. There'll be a decline. And you can see already that happening in other merchant markets. Question whether EV is coming to Malaysia, I think it's a matter of time. If that comes in full swing, obviously the amount of fuel will be even more in trend. So for people like retailers like us, and this is similar to people like Shell and our competitors, what do we do today? Secondly, also in Malaysia, when we look at the mass transit, infrastructure are getting better. So people are leaving their cars at home and taking the train. So obviously the demand, for fuel is getting less and less. So when we look at landscape, we don't have really an option. We need to reinvent ourselves. Number one, we need to make sure that people keep on coming to our station, and that is why we are undergoing a massive revamp of our station to make sure that the customer experience become more enriched. Because at the day, when you have cars, you're still going to buy fuel. The question is, which company are you going to buy the fuel from? So we want to make sure that our current customers are retained and continue to come to our station to pump their fuel. And when they pump their fuel, we also want them to buy more things from our fuel station. So for the real estate that we have, so we're now trying to transform from just a fuel station to a lifestyle experience so that they can do more shopping, and buying more things at the station. So that's one part. The second part, obviously, is to also to get more people to come to our station. And to do that, we need to up our game a little bit more. And we also have to understand that today, we look at the retail space, people are going to more digital. Customers are demanding, a much more enhanced experience. So we are trying to introduce much more digital experience. And that's why we've seen in our communication, we're trying to spend a bit more money, more investment, number one, on the infrastructure themselves. The station has to be upgraded. For example, Mr. Store and our stations are now being, revamped to give more better lifestyle experience. At the same time, the touch point of the customer are now going to digitalize. So we are introducing e-payment system, SETEL, that people then can pay by running away from using cash and also from the card, and by paying to our e-wallet, they can just communicate with the dispenser and their whole customer journey becomes better. Once we understand the market dynamics, for PDB, for example, we understand that our fuel demand will be at threat, and as a company, we are responsible to make sure that our revenue and our income stream becomes sustainable, and that's why we're trying to shift from a fuel-dominated income to a balance between fuel and non-fuel. And that's what we try to do in the next couple of years to increase our non-fuel revenue into our contribution.
Yeah, but I guess nonetheless, much of the business really centers on the traditional retail market. And of course, with over 1,000 stations, you've also got your retailers to manage. And that can be challenging, I guess, because of the legacy systems and performance issues. I'd like to point out that some of your competitors, like the Shells of this world, they are really innovating in terms of the coffee that they offer with Costa. They've done deals with Delhi to Go. There's fresh pastry, and not all Mustras, your stations, are moving at the same pace. How do you deal with the level of innovation of your competitors in the context of also managing your existing retailers and the legacy mindsets that they may be bringing to the fold?
I think a very valid point. I think at the end of the day, all our dealers on the ground, they are entrepreneurs. I think we must paint the landscape for them that, by coming to this journey, they can increase the revenue and their income. When we look at our station, we need to change our mind into looking at the real estate. So we have to make sure that our income per square feet at our station will be increased. So partly the traditional, delivering and selling products our Mr. Store. And just like our competitors, and you had mentioned it, people like Shell, going to coffee, we also have those kind of things planned in our mind. What's important for us in PDB, we have to make sure that we have the right business model. You can already see this, happening in some of our stores, and some of it we're doing with our partners, the likes of Kentucky, McDonald's, Tea Life, and so on and so forth. But we believe if you want to up the game, we need to change our business model. And part of it may be going to do coffee on our own, to do food gourmet. Those are things work in progress. It's not a decision that we can make very easily. Or we can tell you that we are assessing the business model. Some decision will be made in the future, and one that is done, obviously that services will be offered throughout the network. Now the question is whether it will be offered in all of our 1,000 stations across the country. And the answer is no. Not every station will get the same customer experience. It depends on the demographics. It's not one size fits all. But generally, our focus is to increase the revenue per square feet within the Mr. Store and other offerings, car wash and any other support for services. We have a few things planned, coming up ahead. I'm not in the liberty to explain, in detail, but surely I think you can expect a little bit more things coming, And at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is when customer come to our station, it's not just about buying fuel alone. We want to increase the share of the wallet, not just buying food and drinks, but also coffee, food, and people are always on the move today. And that's why SETEL becomes very important for us. So SETEL will be the base of our what we call digital experience. From SETEL, not only you can buy fuel, then you can do your loyalty exchange, you can now buy an order to go, for example. So those are the stories that we're trying to curate. But to do that, two things must happen. Number one, we need to have the right IT and digital infrastructure. And a lot of money is spent to revamp our old system to make sure that our system today, including the point of sales at the station. Secondly, as you said, the mindset of our dealers also must be right. So we went to a massive transformation, retraining our dealers, and today we can see there are already significant improvement in terms of contribution to non-fuel. We're not there yet by any chance. I think we need to work together more with dealers and get their appetite, increase their appetite to make sure that they see the opportunity on the table. And to do this, partly to work with partners, and partly to do a different business model where we have a skin in the game in some of the, what we call this, the services offered at the station.